To answer your question, Z, no. It's actually about how to find a stable relationship, something you have clearly never ever done in your life. Simply put, the game I'm trying to make is one that is based on the Monster Girl Encyclopedia. You know, that game where the whole Monster Girls exist just to essentially rape their ideal partner into submission. Something similar to that. Now, here's the direction I'm trying to go with it. I want to make it an RPG. The problem is that I have never coded anything in my life. I have never done anything with coding. I attempted to when I was in high school, and I didn't even pass the course because Stencil was way too weird to use. Yes, the program that they wanted us to use in game development was Stencil. It looked very basic, but even then, I still didn't understand shit. So, the whole point of this is first to drop a concept, then actually try developing something. And that is what this stream is going to be about. Forming that concept to try and get the story and essentially all the areas down. So with this, I drew up a Google Doc. And so far, I've gotten start of the game and a summary of the story. I had just started working on Area 1 when I thought, you know what? I could turn this into a good stream. See if I could find some developers that just happen to pop in. And if somebody does, well, cool for me. If not, oh well, looks like I'm figuring this out on my own. Cool. Now, for those that are in my Discord server, you may have heard that I went to state competition for the karaoke finals, or the World Karaoke Championships. I did not make that. But I will say this. Top 50 in my state is not bad at all. It just gives me more shit to prepare for next year. So with that, let's go ahead and hop on over to... how am I going to do this? Yeah, we'll hop over to... Nah, you know what? No. I'll just stay on this... I'll stay on this screen for now. And I think... what I can do... I'm going to... Wait a minute. VTube Studio, duh. Oh, no. I can't do that. Better idea, then. Go into VTube Studio, actually. Move me over here. There we go. Now, source... yeah. Window capture. Opera. Select option. Here we go. That is a full thing. Okay. That is a full window. That does not need to be that massive. Okay, this is taking up a lot of space here. Space that, quite frankly, I don't need to... Here we go, properties. Window match, no. Okay, how am I gonna do this here? Maybe not that. Alright. I definitely want to shrink it down, but not... I want to shrink it to the point where it can still be red, and I kind of want to cut most of this out. So, let's go ahead and delete this. Yes. And then... here we go, screen capture. Give me a sec here, guys. Okay. That's that. Okay. I remember what I was doing now. Screen capture. Put that here, then... so, not that. Not the window. I don't need that much. I fucking think. I hate how I can't adjust the size of this. I don't need the entire window captured. Properties. Show additional settings. That does not help. No. That's not it. Well, that's annoying. Okay, how else can I do this? How else can I capture this properly? That's not it, that's not it. I may just have to go to the other side then. Or the actual... I may just have to go to my gaming screen. Alright. Scuff. Alright, I hope that's coming through all right. Because all we see here is a bunch of text. So... alright, what I have so far. The goddess Eros has summoned you, her chosen hero, to help bring down Druella, the fourth daughter of the Overlord, and her extremist faction after they took down Lascati. If you think that the point is to restore control to humanity, well, you're half right. The chief god also wants control of Lascati, as it was one of the key control points for humanity's army. You are meant to be a neutral party for the people to settle their disputes and solve this war before it results in mass genocide. You will not be completely alone in this journey. Eros has assigned a Cupid to help you throughout the journey, but is also prone to getting very sidetracked. She can't help but want to solve every love problem she comes across. In addition, other party members will be possible to grab, but are never required. If you can get them and train them accordingly, they will prove themselves more than worthy. So the whole point I want to make with this game is that you are meant to do this by yourself, but you don't have to. You can do this as a challenge just by yourself with nobody but the Cupid you are assigned with. But you can also grab other party members if they wish to join you. I'm thinking at most there will probably be 4 or 5. Now, much like other optional content, this will be something that will be optional, not required, but can actually be pretty busted if played correctly. The problem is, I haven't gotten to the kinds of characters we get yet. I'm first going to go through areas, and then I will start coming up with the characters. The first area is, upon waking up, the player is greeted with a lovely cloudy environment with various shades of pink, purple, and blue, though whether these indicate a sunrise or a sunset is open for interpretation. Excuse me. A woman's voice greets us, introducing herself as the goddess of love, Eros. She says that she summoned us for an important mission that would decide the fate of the world. She then asks what our name is. Here the player could enter anything they want. For this concept, we'll just call him Theo. Theo is then asked to help the world heal from the extremist division of Mamono. They have been causing all sorts of trouble for humans and quite frankly are ruining any chance for love to blossom the way it's supposed to. To help us, she will give us a handy assistant in the form of the Cupid named I. She will be the hint system for the main quest, telling you about certain areas or sometimes even puzzle hints, but also sometimes flies in the directions of side quests. Do you see what I'm going with here? She's essentially a better version of Navi, in a way. After giving us our mission, we are dropped into the first area of the game, which is the Order Continent. Here is where I got stuck. First, we start our journey outside of a small village on the Order Continent. I don't know if you know this about Monster Girl Encyclopedia, but the Order Continent is huge. It is meant to essentially be the entirety of Europe. So, the whole point is that it is meant to be, what we're exploring here is going to be a small section of it. That area will eventually include Liscati itself, but that is an endgame area. So, for now, we're just on the outskirts of it, headed toward a small village. This is where some enemies could present themselves. Here, I'm thinking basic enemies. Since we'll be appearing close to water, I'm thinking maybe a couple slimes, or even, I don't know. I would have to go through the encyclopedia itself. But here is where I would like input. So, from here, how would you guys want to see this develop? How would you, my chat, and even those in the comments that are watching this VOD, how would you guys want to see this kind of concept develop? I myself want to see this develop as something more akin to Final Fantasy style rather than Link to the Past style. Simply put, any area you go to, I want to scale with you. Because after we leave this area, I want... Well, this is probably something way, way, way above my wheelhouse. But, after we escape this first area, my original plan is to make it sort of non-linear. Each area will have its own set story, but you could tackle it at any level. However, the longer you go, the stronger the enemies in the other areas get. And if you try to go back to Liscati too early, their defenses will be beefed up to the point where you know you're not supposed to be there. You could, it would just be a really, really bad idea. So, starting with this, the Order Continent. I'm thinking we start outside of a small village. This is where we would get the hang of mechanics, encounter basic enemies, that kind of stuff. Here we would encounter stuff like slimes, maybe some insect girls, I don't know. If you stay out long enough, though, there is a chance to encounter a higher level enemy. This will be something for all areas that I want to implement. I want to say, if you stay out around, for example, like 30 minutes, and you're not doing anything, you're not changing areas, you're not advancing some kind of plot. Like, for example, if you're just grinding, for instance, this will be something you encounter as a, hey, either get your ass in gear or die. This will basically be the impatience meter saying, if you don't move, you are going to die from this. For this first area, it would be, since you're starting at like level 1, I would say this enemy, by comparison, is about level 30. This would be a grizzly. They are known to be strong, kind of dopey, so that they would be pretty good for a basic enemy, especially for a basic ultimate enemy. Okay, so I think to list this down, we would have the area outside the village is a large plain bordering a forest and a set of mountains. So, the enemies encountered here will be fairly basic. i.e. slimes, hornets, and if you dawdle too long, a grizzly. Now, there will be more powerful versions of these later on. So instead of a hornet, I think honeybees. The stronger version of a honeybee, well, I say stronger, but they're more like enemies, according to the lore, is a hornet. Slimes have many variations that will pop up later on. These things are so few. Long story short, they're everywhere, and they vary on the environment. So, this will be the place to get used to controls and battle mechanics. From here, you can just run around the plane, defeating enemies. Then, if you go into the village, this is where you actually encounter the side quest mechanic. Entering the village will kickstart the side quest mechanic where I flies a bit away from you toward the direction of one side quest. This side quest, I will say, is one of the required ones in hard quotation marks, since I don't have arms. But simply put, this is where she will show you there is a side quest here, and it's a piss easy one to fix. Like, it's stupidly easy to do. But in essence, it'll be the thing that tells you, hey, I is very prone to getting sidetracked, and the stuff that she goes towards is optional to do, but will benefit in the long run. Whether the player decides to complete it or not, this will be where the whole mechanic is introduced, and from there, we are free to continue with the main story. The village will tell you, I think, that because of the recent invasion, attacks from monster girls out in the wild have been more frequent. But they haven't full-on invaded another village since they invaded Liscati. This is just me talking out my ass here. I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this and how to make it appear on screen. Or how to make it appear in a way that's easily palatable, we'll say. Let's go and get rid of my room while we're at it. I'm gonna... No, Chugga Conroy. Let's go with, here we go. This ought to be some nice copyright-free music. Let's... Ooh. Yeah. 6 hours of dark electronic music by the Enigma TNG. Perfect. God, that is loud. Alright, let's turn on desktop audio. Okay, so from here. With the way, okay. I'm trying to think here how to phrase this. I think here. Speaking of battle, it will be similar to classic Final Fantasy. A turn-based system, but if you take too long to decide, the enemy will attack again. Simply put, the kind of system I want to make is one that has a meter. If the player can decide all its moves, or decide all their moves right there and then, then depending on how fast the meter gets, the enemy may not even get a chance to attack. However, this also scales with your level. If the enemy is simply a higher level than you, they will always be faster, meaning that there is a high chance they can attack twice as well. So you need to be careful with whether or not you want to try grinding on higher level enemies. So it's sort of... It is turn-based, but it's more... it has those RTS elements, in a way. Similar to stuff like Final Fantasies 4, 5, and 6. Similar to FF 4, 5, and 6. Oh boy. There we are. Now, the way I see this working is you would still have your basic attacks, but eventually, as you level up, you will also learn magic. This can actually take down enemies in non-lethal methods. Because the last thing you want to do as a neutral party is piss off the party you're trying to get to work together. So, kind of similar to Undertale in that aspect. Or, not really Undertale, more like the Earthbound Halloween hack, we'll say. So, similar to Toby Fox's Earthbound Halloween hack, there is an option to take down enemies non-lethally. So yes, you could very well do a pacifist run in this game. And unlike Undertale, however, you could still get experience from it. It would just be significantly less. So, EXP from non-lethal encounters will be significantly less than just killing the enemies. So from here, this is where I think you would see the difference between a diplomat and a warrior. Or rather, yeah, that's a good way to put it, I guess. If a bit wrong. This is where, that's something I could do, actually. If I wanted to give this game multiple endings, I could dictate it based not only on your experience level, but also on how enemies were taken down. But no, that is something that's way too complicated right now. I'm trying to make this as basic as possible. So from here, just the turn-based system would be good. An optional mechanic to add with more experience. Similar to Toby Fox's Earthbound Halloween hack, there is an option to take down enemies non-lethally. EXP from non-lethal encounters will be significantly less than just killing enemies. I feel like another way I could possibly add more endings to the game would be if I had a counter for side quests. Simply put, if you only focused exclusively on the main story, that would result in a bad ending. Or rather, a neutral ending, I should say. It's like, you didn't build any relationships with the locals, you didn't try to help anyone or go out of your way to help anyone, so you just fulfilled your agreement with Eros and nobody cares. It's like, eventually this cycle would continue and she would have to hunt down somebody else. Because she knows you'll focus too much. You'll hyperfixate. If you actually took time to build a relationship with some of the locals, like actually completing, for example, out of 50 side quests, we'll say you did 12, that would result in a slightly better ending. People would remember you. They would kind of miss you when you're gone. If you did like half the side quests, then you would have the option to stay behind and continue your work as a diplomat. Just kind of furthering your relationship with the locals as an outside party. If you did all of them, however, that would result in the true ending. That is what I'm thinking for this. So, entering the village will... Side quests could influence what ending the player receives. Now, I think this is where a pop-up would show... a pop-up would show that building a reputation with the locals is important, but not required. Pop-up could explain that side quests are optional, but have significant consequences later. So, I think that it could work, but that would also give the indication that side quests aren't technically optional if you want the true ending. But then again, true endings being locked behind side quests is nothing new for an RPG. Anyway, whatever the player chooses to do, they eventually go to the village elder, who explains that monster attacks have been more frequent since the fall of Lescati. But no monsters have been able or willing to enter other villages for some reason. This is where I think we would also get kind of that difference between a big city and a small town way of thinking. Like, the big city, it fell because they were so stuck in their ways. But small towns, everybody knows everybody. They have each other's backs. And so long as you're not a dick, they don't care. Or, I guess that's one way to put it, but either way, this is where we would see something's kind of off with the whole thing. It would have been easier to attack the smaller villages, but they never do. Why is that? This is where we would have to go investigate and hopefully kind of talk to some of these not so hostile monsters if we find them. So, from here, I think the next best option would be to visit one of the temples of the chief god. Pray for safety on our journey. So from here, this is where we would be told, if you're going to leave this village again, then pray to the chief god at our temple for safety. Because the monsters have gotten more bold even if they don't attack villages. Essentially, we're being told, hey, go to where the knights have been gathered. Try and get some lessons from them in combat. They would give us more niche advice in a way. Going here and talking to the knights and priests will give you combat advice and deeper lore hints from pages scattered in the temple. So basically, this would be where you could find hidden lore or just general combat advice that you wouldn't have thought of earlier. Like, it is a normal Final Fantasy style game, but there will be something else to combat that I haven't quite worked out yet. Like, for example, one thing that could pop up in a page is how when a warrior blessed by the chief god thought they were about to die, they managed to somehow talk their way out of combat despite being weak, and the monster let them go for some reason. That kind of stuff. So, for example, a blessed warrior managed to reason with a monster to let him go free when he was injured. So, that kind of stuff, I think. Now, from here, no matter what you do here, people wouldn't exactly take too well to somebody that's not from the Order of the Chief God trying to muscle in on their territory. So even if you build a good reputation with the locals, eventually someone from the Order is going to get pissed off and turn all the people against you. Eventually, someone from the Order will see you snooping around and ask who you're affiliated with. Here's something interesting. I think you could try to lie about it, but they just wouldn't believe you. Like, you could try and say, oh, yeah, I'm with the Order, but I'm just here as a scholar. But they would notice your companion is looking a little too pink. You could attempt to lie, but they will not believe you because of your companion. I know how to grammar. English is my first language. As a result, you are booted from the village and told to find shelter elsewhere. So, from here, I think this is where I would tell you the Order continent is not ready. They are not ready to receive help from Eros. And will decide to warp you somewhere else. How will she do this? I don't know. What I'm thinking is, warping takes a lot of magic without a set point. So without a set point to draw in natural magic, using your own magic would still make it possible, but it would put you out of commission in terms of combat capabilities for several days. Or in this case, until it's convenient for the plot. I tells you she can warp you to somewhere else and pulls up a map. Here's where I think the player could choose where they want to go next. The available options for travel will be the Mist Continent. I know how to spell. Mist Continent, Zipangu, I really wish there was another map, like an official one. so that I could reference that in some way. I did hear about another possible country in MGE lore, but I don't know if it's official. I would need more books that I simply can't afford right now because, well, rent took all my money. So for now, there's the Mist, there's Zipangu, and another one that would be a very stupid idea to try and travel to. And that would be the Royal Makai. Simply put, the Royal Makai would be there. You would not be able to go there. That is one of the endgame areas. Let me think. What else could there be? There could be the... I think the, a mountain area. This would be where you find, dwarves and stuff like that. Oh yeah, the desert region. What would be another name for this mountain region other than just mountain region? I'm thinking... Oh, right. The mythical forest. And... we'll say the Dwarven Mountains. So we got the Mist Continent, Zipangu, the Royal Makai, the Desert Region, the Mythical Forest, the Dwarven Mountains. I think that'll be good for now, actually. Oh, right. There's one more that I need. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One more. We'll say... oh, what would I call it? It's got to be some kind of water area. It has to be. Let's say... the seabed... or no. The... frothing shores. So, the available options for travel would be the Mist Continent, Zipangu, the Royal Makai, the Desert Region, the Mythical Forest, the Dwarven Mountains, and the Frothing Shores. This would be something similar to Mario in a way, in that you have your standard desert land, forest land, grassland, that kind of stuff. But you also have your mountainous region and your water region. Like, you need to have a good variance in your encounters, in a way. So, with that, after choosing the next location, they warp. So for the sake of convenience, we're just going to go down the list. Area 2. The Mist. Now, before I continue this, I'm going to run to the bathroom real quick and just kind of think on it. What do you guys think so far of what I have? I'll be back. I have returned. Alright, so from here, we will go to the Mist. This is where, as the name suggests, there is always a subtle fog in the area. This is where stronger enemies would come out. But before we get to that, this is where I would collapse in exhaustion and say that took a lot out of her. This is where we would learn that her strength is based on the amount of love in the air, essentially. If she uses too much energy, then, long story short, she can't do shit for a while, because she has to recharge. This is where we learn her power runs on love. And if the area has very... And... how do I put this? The rate she recharges is based on the amount of love in the air. Simply put, the more she's around, like, happy couples or stuff like that, happy families, happy couples, those that show their love in various forms, the faster she recharges. So if you just stay outside of any and all villages the whole time, she ain't gonna recharge that quickly. Like, even if you beat the main story, if you never, like, visited a village or anything, she ain't doing shit. This is where certain safe zones would come into play. These would be spots where you cannot be these would be spots where essentially she can... how do I put this? These would be spots where she could recharge a lot quicker, but only a certain amount of times. Because these places would be spots where couples hang out. But they don't just want a lot of people watching them. And because she's invisible at this point, you're just going to be standing there looking like an idiot while these couples are trying to have a good date. Certain spots will have couples out and about, and hanging nearby will help power I back up. But they only work for so long before the couples just leave. So these would be spots where you could recharge I, possibly save the game right there, that kind of stuff. Now, naturally, these would be spots... Naturally, this game is one where you can save at any time. However, these would be the safest spots to do so. I don't quite know how to work this out yet. I'm still just getting the concept. Alright. Now, let's see. As the name suggests, there's always a subtle fog in the area. Much like the creatures in the encyclopedia, there will be, or rather, the enemies here will be based on Chinese legends. These will be the monster girls that are, Actually, I've got one of the books right here. I can provide an example. Let's see. Table of contents. Where is it at? Realm of Ice, God of Wine, Goddess of Love. Lost Kingdoms of the Desert, Realm of Fire. Overlord's Army of Extremists. Ethereal Land is a punk. The Continent Enshrouded by the Mist. Okay, so this is where you encounter enemies like the Kitsunesuki or the Kaimaitachi, the Raiju, that kind of stuff. Yeah. That should be... Wait a minute. Hang on. These are based on Japanese. Except for maybe the Kaimaitachi. The Ryu, possibly. But, let me think here. Where's volume 1? Here it is. Let's go. All right. Actually, where is it at? Where is it at? I know it's here somewhere. Here we go. So I think Karasutengu, Kappa, Jorogumo. Yeah, here we go. This is the kind of stuff that you would find in this area. So, based on Asian legends. Not just Chinese or Japanese, Asian. Enemies could be... Enemies would be things like... I guess if we have to go through one of these, then, that's the Pangu. Akaname, Kunoichi, Gyobu Danuki would just be shopkeepers all around. Kitsune B, maybe. Kaimaitachi. Raiju, I'm thinking, could be one of the higher level enemies you could encounter. I'm thinking Ryu could be something else. So... Kitsune B. Jorogumo. Enemies would be things like Kamaitachi, Kitsunebi, Jorogumo, Ushioni, Akaname. Basically stuff that in lore is meant to be mean. Mean and or scary. So from here... the plan from here, I think, would be to hunt down other villages and try and find anything that could be causing problems. At which wait, no, that's dumb. This is meant to be an RPG, not just a fetch quest. RPGs are more than just fetch quests and side quests. So, let's think for a minute here. What could be something to do for a main story that involves just one area? I think from here, the mission would be to find a way to lessen the strain in a way. I think. Yeah. The start would be to lessen the strain of travel, at which point we would be told to go to the mountains. Main mission would be to find a way to lessen the strain of warping lessen the strain of warping on I. Theo would be told to go to mountains where the what could I call this? Main mission would be to find a way to lessen the strain of warping on I. Theo would be told to go to the mountains where the Arbiter of Arbiter of Knowledge, we'll say. Where the Arbiter of Knowledge makes her home. It is said that those who make the full journey to her home at the peak get a wish granted. I think you can tell what this is going to set up. Simply put, this is going to be a reference to, well, you'll see when we get there. The first dungeon of the game will be this, or rather the first dungeon mentioned will be this mountain trail. At which point it will be called the... Oh, what would be a good name for this dungeon? Told by a village chief to go to the mountains where the Arbiter of Knowledge makes her home. It is said that those who make a full journey to her home at the peak get a wish granted. Here is our first dungeon. The Trial of... Ooh. I'm thinking here. I'm thinking. What is something I can call this? I think we call this the Trial of... Calling it something like the Trial of Souls would be dumb for a first dungeon. That's more of like a mid to late game area. Endurance, maybe? Yeah. The Trial of Endurance. While in this dungeon, we need to find... We need to find 7 orbs to unlock the path forward. Is it obvious what this is a reference to yet? These can be hidden behind room puzzles where you must either defeat all enemies or solve these can be hidden behind room puzzles or obtained by defeating all enemies in the room. The whole environment of the dungeon will be sort of grassy in the beginning with a bit of bamboo growing nearby. But the further up you go, the more rocky it gets until the final 3 floors where it becomes a lot snowier. I think that could work. It's like start up for a, we'll say, 10-floor dungeon. I think that could work. A 10-floor dungeon where you have to find 7 keys. Or not even 10-floor, but, I guess it'd be kind of like that. It would mostly be open except for the final lock, where you need to find those keys. Okay, so final area around the door where it becomes a lot snowier. That could work. At the top of the mountain lies a small cabin. Ooh. At the top of the mountain lies a small cabin where a woman sits by a fire overlooking a cliff. She asks why we are there, and we tell her we need something to help our companion recover from magic exhaustion. Why are you blowing up your bathroom, Z? Never mind, it's your shit diet. Alright. She asks why we're there and we tell her that we need something to help our companion recover from magic exhaustion. She will then tell us... Yeah, Taco Bell. She will then tell us that our answer lies in her own ability. Taco Bell for dinner does sound good. Unfortunately, I'm still broke until Friday. Lies within her own ability. 1 soft taco, 2 chipotle chicken flatbreads, 1 plate of nachos, and 1 grilled cheese burrito. God damn, fat boy. I could barely even finish 3 things from Taco Bell. Let alone 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let alone 5 things. You trying to stockpile leftovers? She will then tell us that our answer lies in her own ability. She can help unlock that ability, but we must prove ourselves. This is our first boss fight. She can help unlock that ability, but first we must prove ourselves. You've seen the horrors of what I eat from Taco Bell in person. True, I have. They're not nearly as bad as you think they are, dude. Do I need to remind you of the 10 total tacos? No, fair. First we must prove ourselves. This is where she reveals her true form as a Ryu. This is our first boss fight. Now, here, I believe, is where, this would be something where you would have to be required to fight. Like, I don't think, with what I'm thinking of, I don't think the whole pacifist mechanic would work here. You would literally have to fight her from the beginning. Like, it would not count toward any kind of pacifist or genocide run. This would just be you trying to prove yourself as a warrior and as someone worthy of being bestowed a gift from this Ryu. So, this is our first boss fight. She will mainly be using magical attacks, but she is also weak to that. She will use mainly magic that will debuff your stats if it hits, and sometimes even and sometimes leave you vulnerable for a harder hit. Did you see my new OC art? You may have sent it to me at one point. Okay. She'll mainly use magic that will debuff your stats if it hits, and sometimes leave you vulnerable for a harder hit. The main gimmick here is knowing weaknesses of mythological beings like dragons. I swear I know how to spell. This would be the thing that, introduces, boss weaknesses and enemy weaknesses. Yes, she herself is knowledgeable about magic, but she is also weak to it. She knows and uses magic attacks, but is also weak to those attacks as well. Finally got me off my ass and started writing the story for her and her twin brother. Oh, nice! I'm gonna double check this real quick. Make sure I'm actually, writing something here that's, accurate. Here we are. Peaceful and benevolent, Ryu are not monsters that aggressively attack humans. However, it's said they never lack for men, for their worshippers of the water god often offer them men as tributes, and many men themselves wish to be the husband of a god. Before their husbands, Ryu dispense with their characteristic dignified, august, and divine comportment in favor of tender and devoted behavior typical of monsters of Zipangu. Okay. So yeah, I think this could be good. So I also looked at the habitat for Ryu. I'm going to change one thing here. At the top of the mountain, next to a large lake. Lies a small cabin where a woman sits by a fire overlooking a cliff. Found your response to it as almost as embarrassed as me when you text me that you did something stupid. That was the response to her. Yeah. Because you texted me asking how embarrassed do you think she is. Anyway, back to this. She knows magic attacks, but is also weak to those attacks as well. I'm thinking upon winning the fight, she says she grants you an item that not only boosts eyes not only boosts Ai's abilities with magic, but also makes her able to be used in combat. Simply put, this would be the point where she becomes an actual party member and not just a hint system. Because she now has the ability to use magic outside of combat, because she actually can be used in combat now, she will become a more useful party member, not just a hint system that yaps your ear off like Navi. She also warns us that not everyone is supportive of our mission from Eros. This is our hint that there will always be bad actors trying to undo our progress. This is the kind of shit that I'm going for here. Even if you clear out an area, there will always be somebody out there trying to fuck up what you've done and try and make things worse. How'd you feel if I came back to Washington to visit and I got that jack, no steroids, and would we have to do that meme? No. Shame on you, Z. I wouldn't care that you got that jacked. I mean, I'd be surprised at first, but I wouldn't care that much after that. Anyway, there will always be bad actors trying to undo our progress. This is also how you unlock additional side quests in those past areas. Because somebody's trying to constantly mess with our progress in those areas and trying to make things worse than we left it, we are going to... This will be our excuse to go back and check on those areas. For new side quests. Do I not know the Bat Brick meme? Are you talking about, like, absolute Batman? That's the only thing I could think of that's like that. Or are you talking like Bat Metal? From here, we choose a new location to warp to. But we notice that we can no longer access the Order continent. We notice that we can no longer access the Order continent. There is now a magical seal over the Order continent where we left. Because of a magical seal. Nothing is really known about the seal. From here, Area 3 will be... I'm thinking... Area 3 could be the Frothing Shores. This is basically an island beach type area. Jeez. Yeah, that's absolute Batman you just sent me. That is legit just absolute Batman. Anyway, the Frothing Shores. This is basically going to be our beach area. An area that we go to for relaxation, or, in this case, more development. This is going to be where we encounter mostly sea-based Mamono as enemies. Our problem here is that there's going to be a... our main quest here, I should say. Oh, man. There was a meme about him going around of Joker just flipping out like, did you eat Bane? I saw that video. Anyway, for this, I'm thinking the main quest will be something is messing with the food in the area. Like, even the Momono that are just docile are scared that they're not going to be able to get anything to eat. Find what's messing with the food situation along the shores. The only hint we have Monster There's a Sea. Here we go. Here we go. I'm trying to open up the page to it. $130? Oh, I see. Okay. Marrow, Nereid, Sea Bishop. Maybe not a Skyla. Not that. Sea Slime, no. Maybe that one. That could work. I think... yeah, that could work. I think the monster that would be causing this food shortage would be a Sahagin. Either that or a either that or a Skyla. Or a Skilla. I don't know how to pronounce that. But I'm thinking a Sahagin would be the better one. The only hint we have is that they carry a massive spear and can walk on land, unlike most water-based Mamono. Here we go. Alright, from here, we do our normal thing, either doing side quests or trying to find the dungeon. This area is a beach. Let's see. This area is a beach along the sea-based border of the Order continent. This area is a beach along the sea-based border of the Order continent. Simply put, this is the area of the Order continent that is bordered exclusively by the ocean. So from here, main quest is to find what's messing with the food situation along the shores. The only hint we have is that they carry a massive spear and can walk on land, unlike most water-based Mamono. From here we do our normal thing, either doing side quests or trying to find the dungeon. The dungeon in question is a waterlogged cave. Actually, hold on. Let me check the other one as well. Let's see here. Rum of Ice, God of Wine, Goddess of Love. Overlord's Army of Extremists. Realm of Fire, Lost Kingdom of the Desert. Let me think here. That's Lava Golem, Mothman, Soldier Beetle, Tentacle. That's not it. You need to go a little further here. Maybe not that one. Whitehorn? No. Ah, here we are. Let's go. So, here we go. Amphibious, crustacean. That's a Mandragora. Kraken I definitely want to keep as one of the rulers. this would be something... I'm thinking here. I'm thinking that the village you encounter here... The area is a beach along the sea-based border of the Order continent. The main quest is to find what's messing with the food situation along the shores. The only hint we have is that they carry a massive spear and can walk on land, unlike most water-based Momono. From here we do our normal thing, either doing village side quests or trying to find the dungeon. The ruler of this village, which is a mixed settlement of humans and Mamono, the ruler of this village, which is a mixed settlement of humans and Mamono, is a kraken. Her abode is only visible via a dock leading into the ocean. She will tell us about something scaring away the food used to keep the village prosperous. One villager did see her hideout when he spotted something going into a nearby cave system. From here, we would have to hunt down that NPC, get them to tell us where this cave is, and that is our second dungeon. After finding this NPC, we learn the location of our next dungeon. The dungeon in question is a waterlogged cave with various bones of fish and other sea creatures. Ugh, eyelashes. So, dungeon in question is a waterlogged cave with various bones of fish and other sea creatures lying around, sometimes hiding treasures. The dungeon itself is fairly simple, if a little cramped. It's just get from point A to point B, and if you find something cool, nice, it's yours. At the end, we see the big reason for the food shortages. A small Mamono with a massive spear. Hang on, I gotta double check the page number again. Sahagin, right? Yeah, Sahagin. Also known as the Fish Lass. Don't let her size fool you. She is a hard-hitting glass cannon. And she is very fast. Simply put, this entire boss fight is more of an endurance run. You need to outlast her ability to hit you as frequently as possible, while also hitting her as hard as possible. Yeah, here we go. Heh, I actually predicted that. That's funny. Simply put, she is a physical powerhouse. There is even a chance of her evading some attacks. This is where the challenge comes from. Certain attacks, there will always be a coin flip to evade. But if you know what those attacks are, there will not be a coin flip. What will those attacks be? Physical attacks. Physical attacks. There's even a chance of her evading physical attacks. Magic, however, is a weakness. She doesn't know how to predict magic because she is simple. After defeating her, she mentions that she was told she could have as much as she wanted, and that anyone who told her otherwise was trying to steal from her. The fact that she was manipulated will piss her off more than the fact that someone came into her hideout. I think. I'm still working on this. This is just me, kind of talking out my ass here. But that will be the main, quest. It'll fill out a lot more with side quests, but that is the main quest for the Frothing Shores. Basically, finding the food shortage, stopping it. She will give back what she stole and become one of the huntresses for the businesses in the village. Simply put, she goes from stealing everything because she's such a superior huntress to actually providing for the village via her abilities. She gets her own share of everything, of course. She gets her own share, of course. Area 4. I think this will be the desert region. This is where things could get dicey, we'll say. This is where I think things could get really dicey. Because things stop holding your hand right about here. Like, the Order Continent, at first, it was just a tutorial area. Area 2, okay, you're getting used to combat again. But right about Area 4 is when everything stops holding your hand. From here, you will encounter much more vicious Mamono. Let's see here. You know what? No more physical media. We're going to the wiki. MGE wiki. MGE directory. Monster Girls. Here we go. What's this extra tab? Wait. Desert region. Here we go. Let's see here. handy. A list of stuff that can actually be in here. This is where you would find a lot more vicious Mamono. Like a ghoul, a mummy. Actually, is a mummy that vicious? I am consulting all of the tomes. All 2 of them that I have. 152. Simple. Often found in the ruins, found in desert regions. Mummies are human corpses reanimated by monster mana. Under the guidance of Anubis, their role is to guard ruins from intruders such as grave robbers. Okay, I see. So yeah, Mummy could work as an enemy, but probably not out in the desert. More for the dungeon. Sandworms, however... A sandworm could be useful as, like, a, mid-boss enemy. Here we go. A Girtablilu. A Girtablilu. I don't know how that would work, or how to fucking say that properly, but that could work as a, that could work as an actual, like, enemy. The best way to sum up this region would be... is actually a joke from Aladdin and the King of Thieves. This program is brought to you by sand! It's everywhere! Get used to it! Simply put, you're going to be wandering around a lot. And it's going to be very warm. The whole point of this area is to not get exhausted. You'll have essentially an endurance counter. No. That's not going to work here. We'll say because of how hot it is, you will move slower. Yeah, that could work. And yes, this affects combat as well. This affects combat. Simply put, enemies that are used to living in the desert are going to be a lot faster than you because they're used to moving in the sand. Enemies such as I think I spelled that right. Did I? Yeah. Oh no, I didn't. Girtablilu. Enemies such as the Girtablilu, Sandworm, and Griffin, and yeah, those three. We'll say Ignis and, oh yeah, Lamia as well. The mission here is to find a safe spot in another village in the desert. Going to be kind of difficult when you're moving slow as shit. So, from here, I think the main quest will be to break the curse on the Pharaoh. Break the curse on the Pharaoh living in the nearby pyramid. There is a curse that was placed on the Pharaoh in the nearby pyramid right before they died. They were brought back via monster energy and now rule this village with an iron fist. After being brought back by monster energy, despite being a benevolent ruler in life, so we go to the pyramid. And this is our next dungeon. But before we can go in, we are confronted by a Sphinx. She was told to guard the Pharaoh's pyramid to any who would dare try to rob it. Oh man, I'm getting so much out of this. I'm surprising myself with how much I'm writing down right now. Like, I think this is surprisingly helping me out more than just trying to write it on my own is. So, okay. The main quest will be to break the Pharaoh's curse, break the curse on the Pharaoh living in the nearby pyramid. They rule the village with an iron fist after being brought back by monster energy, despite being a benevolent ruler in life. So we go to the pyramid, and this is our next dungeon. But before we can go in, we are confronted by a Sphinx. She was told to guard the Pharaoh's pyramid to any who would dare try and rob it. Being a Sphinx, we are given multiple riddles to solve. If we get any wrong, that is an instant game over. This will be where the game stops holding your hand. Answer her riddles correctly, and you get to enter the pyramid. Because of this being a pyramid, there is a lot to, there will be a lot of dead ends. And I mean a lot of dead ends. Essentially, it's going to be a maze trying to figure out where the end is. Many dead ends. Because it's a pyramid meant to confuse grave robbers. Enemies will include mummies, what is this? Alright, mummies, Kepri, I could be funny and put mimics in here as well. Nah, I'm not gonna. But I will put ghouls in here. A mid-boss. A mid-boss fight against a basilisk, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, basilisk could work. Yeah, mid-boss against a basilisk. And at the end of the dungeon is the fight against the Pharaoh and an Apophis. Dark-colored serpents that said to carry the power of the Netherrealm within themselves. Apophis are monsters created by gods as adversaries of the Pharaoh. It's their duty to prevent the awakening of the pharaohs who sleep within the ruins of the desert. In the age of the former Mamano Lord, many pharaohs were buried forever at the Apophis' hands, never to awaken. The desert is dotted with masterless and abandoned ruins as a reminder of this. However, that is an ancient tale, and as the present, the Apophis' nature has been changed due to the influence of the new Mamano Lord, and they no longer kill pharaohs, although they do still oppose them. The Apophis have a powerful and peculiar neurotoxin within their body, and when they bite someone, they inject it into their prey. If the prey is a woman, the poison eats away her entire body with extreme heat and pleasure, remaking her flesh to become greedy and ultra-sensitive. And it even makes her mentally morph into a lustful monster-like disposition of simply wanting love and pleasure with a companion. Once an Apophis venom enters the prey, it will never disappear. Prey are delirious and entranced by the venom and will end up swearing allegiance to the Apophis and becoming their servants. This will make a perfect boss fight. An Apophis that ended the Pharaoh's life previously. Without party members, this will be a very difficult fight. Simply put, without party members, this is going to be a fight that will almost feel like a super boss. In the dungeon, you don't have the debuff, the speed debuff anymore. The dungeon gets rid of the desert's speed debuff. It can also be circumvented via an equipable item. Getting wrapped up by the Apophis will leave the target vulnerable to a massive hit that will turn the party member against you. Simply put, not only will the Apophis deal massive damage, she will turn that party member against you if she bites them, because that's what wrapping up the victim will lead to. If you hit the Apophis off the party member, this will stop her bite. Now, here's the thing here. I'm wondering how much I could possibly get away with for this fight, lore-wise. Lore-wise, I'm thinking that if it's not possible to get rid of all of an Apophis's venom, is it possible then to minimize it? Simply put, because the venom never leaves the system, is it possible to draw out most of it, but some of it is still always left behind? And that will kind of reduce its effect. Or is it just always going to be there no matter what? No matter how much you pull out, there's always more and more that's left behind. I think this could work, though. I think it could. Because I also don't know how much this would work with magic either. But I think, unless something lore-wise tells me otherwise, I could possibly get away with this. At the end of the fight, the venom is drawn out magically, and the Pharaoh ends up awakening her power and ooh. Okay. Let's double check the pharaohs here. I actually do need to see this here. Let's just say there is a good reason why I'm keeping the wiki off the page, or off of stream. Rulers of the desert who sleep in royal coffins deep within ruins that dot the desert regions. Although they are monsters, divine power swells within them. They are powerful beings that command the Anubis and the Sphinx. It is said that they awaken from their long slumber when the ruins become filled with highly condensed Momono mana due to monsters that dwell within the ruins finding husbands and continuing. If there is sufficient Momono mana, they may also be awakened by a man visiting their bedroom. The man who disturbed their sleep will be chosen as their eternal partner and will end up having to sate the thousands of years of continuous slumbers worth of hunger and thirst. They were monarchs commanded to guide humanity by a certain god, different from the current chief god. The ruins where they sleep flourished in an age even more ancient than that of the former Momono lords, and are remnants of kingdoms that were destroyed in an age of the former Momono lords. They went into long slumber in order to instill divine power within themselves so they could restore their former kingdoms and oppose those who destroyed them. Okay. If they with their godlike power awaken, water gushes out from the ruins, trees spring forth, and an oasis forms. The desert that was the lands of death is reborn as a bright green Momono realm, a realm with scenery no different from human lands, with blue skies and green trees. Okay. So, because of this, I figure with the venom magically drawn out, the Pharaoh ends up awakening her power and turning the area around the pyramid and village into a prosperous oasis village. The effects of the venom still linger, but they are significantly reduced thanks to a seal placed by I. From here, we go to Area 5. And I think this will be where we go to Zipangu. Now, give me a minute. I'm going to run to the bathroom, but from what I have so far, I think it can work as a game concept. So, I'll be right back, and I'll discuss more of what I'm thinking for this. Okay. Zipangu. This would be sort of an extension to the Mist Continent, but it would have similar based enemies, essentially. Similar to the Mist Continent, this area would have Asian based enemies. In the wilds, you'd find things like the two Oni, things like the red and blue Oni, if that's what they even call them in the actual textbook. Yep, Aka Oni. So either Aka Oni or an Ao Oni. Things like Aka Oni, Ao Oni, what the hell is a Nurarion? Race yokai that inhabit often deliberately evasive during conversations just to tease people. They have unconventional personalities that are slippery and hard to grasp and are said to set foot inside people's houses unnoticed and begin making themselves at home as if it were their own. Sipping tea and smoking a kiseru. Oh. So this could be something like an Easter egg type deal, where a dude finds himself in his house, where you could go into somebody's house and ask who the person in the kitchen is. He's like, what do you mean? I live alone. Then all of a sudden, the person in the kitchen is gone. Alright, Ochimusha. Warriors called Bushi who died with regrets but were revived with yokai energy dwelling in their corpses. Ow! Okay, so they're warrior undead. What's a Tsurara Ona? I know it's an ice-based enemy. Oh, they're just straight up more, Icicle Woman. They can convert the ice mana dwelling within them into icicles that they can control. Any prey that resists will have icicles rain down upon them. So that could be useful for, later. What's an Umiosho? I'm trying to think of what would be good enemies here. So not that one. Jorogumo, maybe. Or did I already use that for the mist? Kamaitachi. Yep, Jorogumo. You know what? We could make that a recurring enemy for this area then. Jorogumo. What's a Keijoro? Lustful Devoted. Voluptuous atmosphere that stands out. They have an appearance that's close to that of humans, but they have long, beautiful hair with an alluring charm that is inhuman. So they're basically a hair monster. Omukade. Gloomy, ferocious. Yep. Omukade. And you know what? Here I think we would also find some hostile Kunoichi. And hostile Kunoichi. However, similar to the Frothing Shores, village in this area would be a monster-friendly settlement. A temple run by a Shirohebi would be nearby. And multiple Kunoichi would stand guard at every entrance. Multiple Kunoichi would stand guard at every entrance. The leader of this village What is this? What are we thinking here? Otahime. They inhabit the sea. Damn it. Yep, the leader of this village will be an Inari. Leader of this village, an Inari, will tell of of a spider problem they're having. This will lead the player to the next dungeon. Now, what would the dungeon be is the question. I think... Well, let's see here. Yeah. Maybe. Spider problem they're having. And that it's being led... and Inari will tell of a spider problem they're having, and that it's because of a rival Kunoichi clan to the one this village has as guards. The main mission here is to bring peace between the clans and get rid of these out of control spiders. This will lead the player to the next dungeon. Or no. Player will then go to another village only to receive a much harsher welcome. Okay. This is where I think things kind of differ here. Because I need to double check the Kunoichi lore here. Those with plenty of experience are given missions of greatest importance, the assassination mission. Their objectives are mainly to neutralize targets that are men of anti-monster territories. Although they call it assassinations, they don't actually take lives. No matter how fortified a castle, a Kunoichi on a mission can sneak into the bedroom without anyone noticing and have sex with her target. They continue to train their body and bedroom skills on a daily basis, all for that moment when they defang their targets, claiming his heart for their own. If the man was an important person, she'll be able to freely manipulate him by pouring in love and pleasure. This one will be so charmed by the Kunoichi, who is a monster, that he'll betray the anti-monster forces, switch to a monster side, and try to change the anti-monster territory into a monster-friendly territory from within. Okay, Oh, I know how to do this. Okay. Leader of these forces is a Yoko who believes men are nothing more than meat for monsters. Nothing more than meat for Amamono's bedroom. Confrontation will result in the Yoko fleeing to a nearby all right. Besides living in forests and mountainous areas, many of them slip into human settled. Okay, here we go. Fleeing to a nearby mountain dwelling. And this will lead the player to the next dungeon. The Trial of Will is a mountain trail similar to the Trial of Endurance, but instead of finding 7 orbs, you need to find seal pieces carried by high-ranking kunoichi that try to run. This is where I think an ability that one of your optional party members could have would come in handy. This is something that I don't know which party member would have yet, but it would be an ability similar to like Mean Look in Pokemon. The opponent can no longer flee, essentially. Excuse me. The whole point of this ability is that they can no longer flee. One party member will have an ability that will make the encounters a lot easier, but it will still... But... Fucking bots. I hate bots so much. Make these encounters a lot easier, but will still be possible solo. Alright. After obtaining all the seal pieces, Okay, here we go. Maybe this one could help? Serious calm. Mountainous regions, forests, and wastelands. No. What about this? Oh, it's a monkey. Maybe not that one. What about Taisui? What else could I use? Because I don't just want the Yoko to be a boss. I want her to get help from something here. Actually, one that might work as just like a foot soldier. Because it's a Yoko that normally inhabits the Mist Continent, why not give her foot soldiers in the form of Jiangxi? Yeah, here we go. There's no decomposition body. There's no decomposition. They're tough and they boast superhuman strength. There are even some who excel in martial arts. However, due to rigor mortis, their bodies become stiff and normally move by stretching their arms and legs out, hopping. The door will open, revealing... The door will open, revealing a... very pissed off Yoko, surrounded by Jiangxi bodyguards. She screams that we ruined everything for her on the Mist. Despite having never met her before on our first visit. Mist Continent. Are you happy there, Google Docs? Okay. She screams that we ruined everything for her on the Mist Continent despite having never met her before on our first visit there. Her hard work went to waste, and she was chased off to Zipangu, where she was forced to restart her plans to make a Mamon Amamono paradise where men are nothing more than breeding stock for her citizens. End up fighting her and her 4 bodyguards. However, things are not so simple this time. This is a multi-phase fight. The thing I'm thinking here is that first phase is just taking out the Jiangxi and then taking her out. But right when you deal the final hit, she goes nuts, reveals 9 tails, and gets an immediate boost in strength. Now all of a sudden, she's fully healed and she hits a lot harder. So, phase 1 involves taking out her bodyguards, then beating her down, then beating her down. The Jiangxi themselves are tough, but are especially weak to physical touch. So while I swear I know how to type, guys. So while they can take a lot of damage, a gentle caress in the right spot will instantly down them. The Yoko, however, has a great deal of fire magic at her disposal and can incapacitate party members Alright. Where is it at here? Where's that page? $80. 190. Here we are. Let's see. Alright. Fire magic and disposal and can incapacitate party members by hitting them with Foxfire. This will leave them vulnerable for 2 turns before they get back up and are combat ready again. If they are hit in this vulnerable state, they will be incapacitated for the rest of the fight. Simply put, the way I think Foxfire will work is they get hit, they're left vulnerable, and if they get hit again, then that pain is never going away. It's never getting healed. They're done for the rest of the fight. Like, even if you use healing magic on them in combat, they will not get up. They are unable to move for reasons. Take a wild guess. Phase 2 is where the environment starts to warp with the Yoko's power. Upon unleashing 9 Tails mode, she starts incorporating more magic into her fight, including some elemental attacks. And especially harsher fire attacks. This will include summoning Kitsune B to further incapacitate your party. Now, this is one that could be made easier by virtue of the fact that if you don't have party members, then the Kitsune Bee will never be summoned. Is nullified if there are no other party members. So from here, I think this will be a good spot to end it. Like, end the stream. I definitely want to keep working on this tomorrow, because this is definitely helping me talk it out. This is helping me talk through how much I want to go through for this concept. Like, I'm enjoying it fully. So with that, we're going to kill the music there. Then I think let's go see if I can raid anybody on Twitch. Oh, I see. It logged me out. Okay. Oh, pff. There we go. Now I gotta get my phone because authentication. Alright, where's my authenticator app? There it is. Wow. I don't know why internet is being so slow today. But today was a good day. This was something that kind of popped into my head after seeing how much drama is going on in the game dev community, especially with you know who. Yes, you know, you definitely know. So this is me kind of trying to dip my toes into that community instead. So with that, Twitch, are we seriously doing this right now? Wow, this thing is really being stupid. Twitch is actually being stupid. But, yeah, this was something that I wanted to get through and just kind of talk through, I guess. Like, as much as I wanted to continue Mad World today, this wouldn't leave my brain, and I wanted to jot down as much as I could before I forgot. And quite honestly, I think there is a possible story to be told here, especially for an RPG. The problem is, I don't know if I myself would be able to do it. So I kind of want to dip my toes into that and hopefully find somebody that's willing to teach me. I don't know why Twitch is having a fucking heart attack right now. Alright, looks like I'm not going to raid out. Alright, I will be back tomorrow where we're going to continue this. Yeah, we're going to continue writing this, because I want to see where this goes for me. So, I'll be back tomorrow about the same time. We're going to continue writing out the last bits of the story at the very least. And then from there, we'll try and get through deeper lore and shit. So, see y'all tomorrow. Bye-bye!